Hi guys, so this is this week's Facebook Live Q&A. Thanks so much to those of you who have been sending in your questions. These will be every 2 weeks again now. I've settled into the new flat and all is well. We've finally got the Wi-Fi sorted and all of that good stuff is now in a good place. So I'll finally be able to stay consistent with doing them every 2 weeks. So please keep the questions coming in your check-ins. And also, if you do think of anything as you're watching these Q&As or listening to these Q&As, please just drop your questions in the comments below the video on the Facebook page as well, because I want as many as possible so that I can make these really good quality and I can make sure that I'm providing you guys with the value that you want and need. So first of all, I hope you're having a wonderful new year. It's been so good to catch up with all of you this week in your check-ins. It's so lovely to be back checking in with you. And honestly, I couldn't be more excited to see what you all achieve this year, both personally and professionally. I know that you're all going to smash it. You've got some incredibly exciting goals. And I could not be more excited to continue to be in your corner and support you when it comes to achieving them. So yeah. Can't wait for all of you, and I'm super excited to do some more client meetups moving forwards, some events and all of that good stuff. So if you do think of any requests for that, please do let me know. I am going to have a think about planning some dates for the events as soon as I can. The Flourishing Society event is on Saturday, the 27th of January. So if you can make that, let me know. We are doing discounted tickets for one-to-one clients and for clients that are a part of the Flourishing Coach. So if any of you guys are interested, just drop me a message and I can send you a specific discounted link for 20% off your ticket. And it would be a pleasure to have as many of you there as possible, but tickets are selling quite quickly. And we do have a capacity of only 20 spaces at this event because of the nature of the event. And we're using a fantastic venue called Hero Training Clubs. So there's only limited space in the yoga studio, which is why we only have the 20 spaces available. So please let me know if you're wanting to come. It would be a pleasure to have you there. And we can't wait. So on to this week's questions. The first question was, what do you find is the most common difficulty clients can have over the festive period and how do you approach it with them? So to be honest, most of you guys now, like a lot of you I've been coaching for a long period of time, and you have done so well at allowing yourself to rest and at approaching the Christmas period as a whole in the way that has been right for you as individuals, which I'm so proud of each and every one of you for, because there's no one size fits all in terms of what your actions should look like on paper over the Christmas period. And in reality, it's just another day like any other social occasion or holiday. And a lot of people create far more fuss over it than is actually justified, and that often creates more stress than it's worth and is counterproductive. So rather than thinking about like stressing over managing social occasions, Christmas, New Year's, Easter, birthdays, all of these things, just remind yourselves it's just another day. And it's an opportunity to be present with friends and family, to connect, which is so good for our health. And we all know that rest is absolutely necessary when it comes to achieving our goals, whatever they may be. So it's just another opportunity to rest and enjoy some downtime. And there's no, like I said, one size fits all approach in terms of what your action should look like on paper. So there hasn't been any major issues on the whole with you guys struggling to manage this period of time because of the work that we've done prior to Christmas. But I'd say one of the most common difficulties is just managing being out of routine and allowing yourselves to actually rest and switch off properly and recognizing the benefits of that, which is something that, especially those of you who are self-employed, including myself, it can be incredibly difficult to take that downtime, but it's reframing your mindset on it and challenging your perspective and recognizing that actually downtime is going to move you forwards towards your goals, whether your goals be personal or professional. So sometimes half the battle is just reframing your perspective on rest, and that can enable you to actually relax. The next question was, what are your thoughts on rate of fat loss? Is a faster, more intense or aggressive deficit worse than slower fat loss over a longer period of time. This person said, I wonder if being in a bigger deficit for a shorter period of time is better in some cases than being in a smaller deficit for a longer period of time. Yeah, there's no one size fits all. Different approaches appropriate for different people. As a general rule of thumb, what I would say is that for clients who are starting off relatively lean, or those who have previously struggled with their relationship with food, particularly if they've struggled with overeating or extreme restriction, for those people, from experience, a less aggressive deficit tends to be more favorable. Because if you put those clients, either they're already relatively lean. So if you put an already relatively lean client in an aggressive deficit, they're going to be much more likely to experience physical health repercussions of fat loss, such as the loss of menstrual cycle function, nutrient deficiencies, extremely low energy levels, things like that, downregulation of thyroid function. So that's the relatively lean client. The client who has previously struggled with their relationship with food, say they've struggled with overeating or binge eating in the past, if you put them into an aggressive deficit, it is much more likely to trigger them back into those damaging behaviors, such as overeating, because they're going to be more likely to experience extreme hunger or extreme restriction if they're in an aggressive deficit, therefore leading them likely to fall back into bad habits that they have previously struggled with. So yeah, clients who are already relatively lean, or those who previously struggled with their relationship with food, less aggressive deficits and tends to be more favorable. For those who are carrying excessive body fat to the point it is detrimental to their health, they are obese, an aggressive deficit can be more favorable to get them into a position of health as quickly as possible. So I'd say for those people, usually a more aggressive deficit is more appropriate. On the flip side of that, if there's someone who's really struggled with their relationship with food in the past and they're obese, then you might just want to be a bit more cautious, and over the long term, a less aggressive approach might be more favorable. So it's all about working with the individual. And one thing that's really important to remember is that even if you start off with one particular approach, you can always adjust that as time goes on, depending on how the individual responds physically and mentally. So don't be afraid to change the approach as and when appropriate. The next question was, how has your mindset changed on your approach to Christmas from your competing days to now? So now I'm just way more relaxed year round around everything, every aspect of life, in terms of training and nutrition. So in my competing days, what I would do is I would control my food intake year round as much as possible. And that would include around Christmas. So I was the type of person who would weigh everything out to the gram. I would put blueberries back if I was a gram over. I was meticulous around nutrition to the point it was slightly disordered. So that was me, and that was my sort of struggles. So yeah, I'd try and control my food intake as much as possible around Christmas. I would be scared of putting on body fat because I was trying to stay as lean as possible. And I'd also likely increase my activity to try and compensate for food. Whereas now I'm just relaxed, and I am every day, but I don't track year round now. And I don't see Christmas as a big deal. It is just, for me, it's nice to spend downtime with friends and family, don't get me wrong, but I don't see it as something that I need to stress over, or that's really going to be much different from the rest of the year from a nutrition and training perspective, because it's just another day. Yes, it's, downtime from work, but from a nutrition and training perspective, it is just another day. I don't track year round anyway. I just have it as a rest day from training, train as normal around that. And from a nutrition perspective, I obviously have my Christmas dinner, which is not something that I have every day. But as always, I'm just mindful around food. I give myself permission to stop eating when I get to the point of feeling satisfied. I have my usual breakfast. I stay hydrated. And I'll just eat a little bit less frequently on Christmas Day because of the size of my Christmas dinner. So that's the only real difference now. But in comparison to my bodybuilding days, it is quite different because of the fact that I was just so focused on staying as lean as possible and controlling my nutrition and training as much as I possibly could in my competing days. But I'm no longer like that anymore. So for me now, it's just kind of another day. So I'd say that's the main difference. And what I would say is quite different is the fact that in my competing days, I was so preoccupied with my external appearance that I would body check throughout Christmas. I'd body check on Boxing Day to see how tight my midsection looked, whether I'd managed to stay lean. I was panicked around my body composition, whereas now I don't really give it any thought. My body's going to fluctuate over Christmas, but it is what it is. It will settle. It's just life that our bodies fluctuate. And so I'm no longer body checking. I'm no longer doing a post-Christmas check-in where I'm checking how much body fat I've gained. It's just doesn't really matter to me now. I'm in sort of, a happy place where I'm really happy in my own skin. I like where I'm at from my body composition perspective, but I know that it will fluctuate throughout my life, and that is due to numerous factors. And it's a part of life that we can't avoid, no matter how hard we try and control our body composition. And so it doesn't panic me anymore. And I hope it doesn't panic you guys either. And if it does, please talk to me about it. The next question was, how do I support a client who has PCOS and has been told by her doctors it's normal to not have a period every month? So PCOS is short for it stands for polycystic ovary syndrome. For those of you who don't know, the diagnostic criteria is two of either a PCOS specific hormone profile, cysts on our ovaries, or absent or irregular cycles. So it is true that when people have PCOS, they can have absent cycles or they can have irregular cycles. So to some extent, what the GP has said could be true. However, sometimes sometimes amenorrhea, hypothalamic amenorrhea, which is absent menstrual cycles, usually as a result of extreme or chronic restriction or over-exercising, or, some other disordered eating or something along those lines, or stress. Sometimes hypothalamic amenorrhea can be misdiagnosed as PCOS. So if a client does not have a period, it's really important to question, okay, could they be at risk of having amenorrhea? And if so, it's worth just questioning the client on that and trying to get them to talk to their GP about whether it could be amenorrhea as opposed to PCOS, so that we can rule that out first. So that's something that it's important to do. If they've done that, if you've come to the conclusion that it's definitely not hypothalamic amenorrhea and it is PCOS, they could have absent or irregular cycles, but there are things we can do to support a client with PCOS with their health to try and make sure that they do have cycles that are as regular as possible. They will see irregularities sometimes, but we can still do things to improve their health that sometimes restore menstrual cycle function or make cycles more regular. So those things consist of potentially some dietary changes, more regular exercise, regular resistance training, doing everything we can to combat insulin resistance, which is a common symptom of PCOS, is that if that is present, supplemental changes and just general lifestyle changes and stress management as well. So from a dietary perspective, what we can do to support clients who have PCOS is make sure they're consuming plenty of fiber, plenty of different plant-based foods, which include nuts and seeds, as well as just fruit and vegetables, omega-3 fatty acids, and sometimes a higher fat, lower carbohydrate diet can be favorable for some people with PCOS. Supplements they could consider myo-inositol, which you can just get from MyProtein, berberine, acetyl L-carnitine, and then maybe magnesium and selenium, if that is a deficiency. Women with PCOS often have a lower basal metabolic rate than most people, but it is only slightly lower. It's not a huge amount. This means that maintenance calories at rest would essentially be lower, but it doesn't stop or prevent fat loss. And really, it just means that adherence and addressing any relationship with food struggles becomes even more important than with the average person. Hunger is also often higher for women who have PCOS, again emphasising the importance of addressing any relationship with food struggles and the root cause of those struggles rather than just brushing over them. From a nutrition perspective, things that we could do to help, like I said, consume plenty of fibre-rich foods such as whole grain carb sources, plenty of plant-based foods, omega-3 fatty acids, and usually women with PCOS do well with a slightly higher fat diet. That does not mean eliminate carbs, for the record. In terms of insulin resistance, treatments for this would involve improving your relationship with food, regular exercise, resistance training, and sometimes medication such as metformin is considered, which can improve insulin sensitivity. But this is something that should be discussed with an individual's GP if they do have insulin resistance. Not everybody with PCOS will. A GP may recommend fat loss if someone has PCOS, but if you further worsen a client's relationship with food during the process, that will only have more of a negative impact on their health over the long term. So it's important that the way that you go about fat loss is protective of a client's relationship with food and is gone about in the right way so that they can see long-term success with the goal of losing body fat. If you address your relationship with food and your health, you will see fat loss progress as a result of that and improved health markers. An aggressive fat loss phase is often not the right solution. Supplements that you could consider, like I said, is inositol, which is involved in insulin signaling. You should be able to get it from MyProtein or somewhere like that, and it has been shown to improve insulin resistance markers and help regulate menstrual cycles if that's something that a client struggles with. Magnesium could also be considered supplementation-wise because it's a common deficiency, and correcting that could help with insulin resistance and overall health. So that's a little bit on PCOS, but please let me know if you have any further questions down below. The next question was, how do you help a very social client reach their goals? She goes out every weekend and does not want to give that up. I have been trying to work around it with banking calories or choosing a good option whilst out and keeping alcohol to a minimum, but I don't think this is working. I already had a chat with her about having to make some sacrifices when it comes to this to reach her body composition related goals, but there's always something coming up, whether it be a big party, going abroad, social events, left, right, and centre. So I think a large part of this is recognizing that, or helping the client recognize that social occasions don't have to revolve around food or alcohol. They can be a part of it, yes, but they don't have to revolve around those things. And if the client wants to succeed with fat loss, they're going to have to accept that, and they're going to have to ultimately create a calorie deficit. There's only so much like calorie banking that you can do. So it's getting the client to choose, okay, like which social occasions are the really special ones where they're going to maybe accept maintenance and allow themselves more food and alcohol, and which social occasions are they going to choose to tighten the reins a little bit and make sensible decisions in line with the goal of fat loss. Because unless they're willing to do that, unless they're willing to create a calorie deficit somehow, then obviously fat loss progress is not going to happen. So it could be giving this client a bit of a reality check and having a conversation with them and saying, look, if you decide that you don't want to make these sacrifices in terms of making smart choices around social occasions, choosing, lower calorie alternatives to alcohol, like a clear spirit with a diet mixer. If you don't want to manage your portion sizes, that's fine, but you have to accept that you're not going to succeed with fat loss. That's your choice. If you want to succeed with fat loss, you have to follow my guidelines. You have to consider opting for low calorie alternatives to alcohol. You have to consider managing your portion sizes or choosing a different option off the menu, which is slightly lower in calories, or being willing to increase overall expenditure over the week to create a bigger deficit as opposed to decreasing food. But unless you're willing to do that, fat loss is not going to happen. And if they choose not to do that, that's in their hands. That's not your responsibility if you've given them the guidance, the support, the knowledge, the education. So there comes a point where it's their responsibility and not yours if you've given them all the education and support, if you've tried calorie banking, if you've tried all these different options. So a part of it is just, and also if a client continues to make decisions that are not in line with the goal, I would question whether that goal is right for them and have a conversation with them and say, look, it's fine if you don't want to pursue fat loss. So let's reassess and set a different goal, because you're not doing what's necessary to get there, which tells me maybe it's not the right goal for you. So that's maybe a conversation that needs to be had too. But let me know if you have any questions. Have a fab rest of your day, guys. And I hope you're having a great new year so far. Keep the questions coming, and I will chat to you all later.